Nature is exciting and beautiful. It can also be powerful and menacing. In either case, nature is a hands-on resource full of valuable learning. Simple activities such as a walk in a park or neighborhood provide boundless opportunities for investigation. Nature appeals to our innate curiosity and desire to explore. It demonstrates life's processes and cycles. Nature engages both children and adults through observation, discovery, and experimentation.
What a beauty this is, huh? You are not going to believe this animal. This is going to be nice. Now, can this sting me? No.
Rudy Mankey, naturalist and host of South Carolina Educational Television's Nature Scene, believes that understanding, respecting, and experiencing nature is an essential part of learning.
Everyone is born with a built-in curiosity about the world. That's innate in everyone. And one of the things that parents ought to do for their children is to develop that curiosity that's already there. You know, it's right there under the skin. It takes someone from the outside often to develop it, to bring it out in children or in adults. And once you've got that curiosity developed a little bit, life's so much more exciting than it would be otherwise. And since that curiosity is already there, it's not something you have to give them, you just simply have to develop it. So it's a shame not to take advantage of that excitement that's already built into everyone. And I'm talking about all ages, all backgrounds. It's built in, and yet it's latent in most people. It's right under the skin. It's our job as parents and teachers, you know, to develop that latent curiosity.
Sharing nature with young children is an integral part of the early childhood curriculum. It can support every aspect of development: social, emotional, physical, and cognitive. These experiences are also useful in stimulating language and critical thinking skills.
Hurricane Hugo came right in here, took the top out of this tree, and killed the tree. But it's still standing, isn't it?
I think it's one of those experiences that will give you an opportunity to take kids outside of the classroom. I like to suggest to teachers that you give kids experiences. That's what they're going to remember anyway. And as far as natural history is concerned in the world of nature, those experiences should, for the most part, be outside in that world where possible. And I don't mean going to some spectacular place, a national park or state park or something. I'm talking about the yard around your home or around the nursery or wherever. Take people outside, let them smell those smells, the wind blowing through their hair. Those are good experiences too. And I think if we go outside and encourage kids to have those kinds of hands-on experiences and start as early as you want to.
What are you finding, Elizabeth? And look at the little yellow leaves there. Do you see them? Mm-hmm. What are you picking up? Huh? You giving me? Why, thank you so much. I needed that.
Experiences with nature include routine activities such as making pinecone bird feeders, planting seeds, and manipulating a wide variety of materials. Exploring nature with young children is an ongoing process that moves in and out of the classroom setting. From infancy, children regularly encounter nature in a variety of ways.
It's never too early to start. My kids walked with me, really, they went with me before they could walk, listening to the birds sing, feeling the wind blow through your hair, picking up a feather and looking at it. They knew that I was curious about the world. That was one of the first things they knew about their father. And that's one of those things that I bet you they will remember as long as they live. I can go out with my kids now, and they're seeing things they wouldn't have seen otherwise because I get excited about it. That's our job. When you've got lives that you're molding, and that's what teachers do and parents do, you've got to take the time to get excited when your kids get excited about something. Even if you've seen the thing 1,000 times, even if the blue jay, yeah, I've seen it all my life, I've heard it call all my life. Well, these kids are having a wonderful exploratory experience. You ought to share that with them. And talk a little bit about, well, gee, you know, that blue jay doesn't make food on its own. It's got to go out and get food. I wonder what it eats. Maybe we're good enough observers to see what it's feeding on. Does it come to the bird feeder and get the seed? Yeah, it does. So it changes the seed. You see what I'm saying? One thing leads to another. And again, the curiosity is there, the excitement is there. Gosh, we ought to take advantage of it more than we do. It's a shame that we don't.
Birdie! Birdie bug!
Hey, got an insect over there?
That's a fast one.
What you got? Let me see.
It's right there.
Okay. Yeah, now that's a little spider, and let's don't mess with her because look at that little teeny round thing that she's carrying on her back. You know what? So we'll be all right.
This introduces children to nature in the way that they learn best, through their senses. Pouring, molding, and manipulating sand, water, and mud are excellent activities which allow children to investigate properties of natural elements. Worthwhile learning experiences are accessible no matter what type of local physical environments are present. It is important to focus on what is common and significant in the children's world.
When you're talking about nature study, I like to start at home. That's true with almost anything you do. And how does it relate to me? I mean, it's interesting to know about snakes of Australia, but what kind of snakes are in my backyard or in the pond down the street or whatever. So be as relevant as you can and talk about individual plants and animals. But my argument always is that even more important than the individual plants and animals is the way the world's connected. See, to me, that's a strength that comes with this nature study stuff that has maybe not been emphasized enough. See, I think it's important for people to develop an interest in something other than just themselves, to realize they're connected to a bigger system. That's in their best interest, and that's certainly in the best interest of every other person on the face of the earth, and really every other creature on the surface of the earth. If we realize we're a part of a system bigger than ourselves, realize we're connected to all of that, then maybe we'll take better care of it. And I think that's in everyone's best interest, short-term and long-term.
In Science with Young Children, Bess Jean Holt asserts that the child is at the center of his learning. A child's personal ecology is his unique interrelating, interweaving, and interacting with the phenomena in his own environment. Find out what the children know, care about, need, and experience in their daily lives. This knowledge is essential.
One day, you see, I have 2 dogs.
Yeah.
And we found this lizard that they chewed up.
Yes.
And the next day we found the skeleton. Ants were all over it.
Now, what do the ants do to that lizard when he's dead?
They were eating it.
And forming the curriculum, use what Holt describes as the distance from self criterion. Start with simple, concrete concepts and elements that the children encounter. And as they grow, build on the children's cumulative experiences by expanding the curriculum to include more complex and abstract concepts. Primary-aged children especially are open to more complex nature explorations and experiences, whether in a classroom or on a field trip. These experiences are valuable as structured activities or free explorations. By age 5, children have established their own ideas of how the world works. By encouraging and providing thought-provoking experiences, the teacher supports the children in organizing and challenging these ideas.
I think one of the most wonderful things in the world is to have a parent or a teacher or a friend that shows you how to reason, how to put facts together on your own and form reasonable conclusions. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to start looking at the natural world. So you learn individual facts about plants and animals, and then all of a sudden someone shows you how those plants and animals are all connected together, and the rocks and the sun and all the rest, how those connections fit together. And that gives you, in your own mind, the basis for all the reasoning skills that you're going to need throughout your life. Teach kids how to reason by simply exposing them to the natural world and talking just a little bit about connections.
Early childhood teachers need not be experts to provide a rich environment for learning about nature. Modeling enjoyment, appreciation, curiosity, and problem-solving skills is more meaningful than teaching facts. Showing enthusiasm for thinking and inquiring fosters children's ongoing development and skill building. Teachers can also demonstrate the importance of observing, looking things up, and interpreting.
You don't really have to know a lot about the world of nature to appreciate it and to enjoy it and to have a positive experience outside. But the more you know, the more wonderful things are. One of the things I like to do is just to point out that there are books available, the little golden nature guide books, very simple, inexpensive, that anyone can read and understand. And if teachers were to just look at those, just take a quick look at them, and then lead kids outside, you start where you are. Next year you'll be better than you were the year before. Teachers ought to go from where they are. Don't make apologies. Learn with the kids. That's the biggest thrill in teaching anyway, is to learn along with your students. So don't wait till everything's just right. Start where you are. And if you got names for things, great. And if you don't, you can still ooh and ah at the wonderful world outside. And I think that's a very positive thing to pass on.
In sharing nature with children, J.B. Cornell provides good suggestions for teaching about nature.
It is fun to see actual objects, isn't it? That's what makes the difference.
Teach less and share more. Focus on attitudes and perceptions rather than simply presenting facts.
When you slow down and you
Be
look at
receptive
things
and aware.
and you're quiet,
This means listening and being sensitive to every comment.
my goodness. Now, is that a rock or is that the bottom of a tree? Yeah. You ever seen the entire ones?
Focus the child's attention.
Close your eyes a minute.
Set the
Because I want
tone
you to
right from the
identify
start
next
and
thing
involve
without looking at
everyone.
it. I don't want you to, don't peek. Don't peek. Close your eyes. Don't peek. I don't want you to see this, but I want you to listen very, very carefully, and I want you to see if you can tell me what I've got in my hand. And I saw one catch a snake
Look
out here.
and experience
A
first.
snake like
Talk
that was
later.
swimming across.
Let the children absorb and process the experience for themselves.
That snake was
Children
not
seldom
poisonous.
forget a direct
Not
experience.
poisonous. And I see bands on him, so banded water snake is the name for him. That was a relatively small snake.
Look, ask questions,
Come over here next to me and I'll
guess,
let you hold it.
have fun. Enthusiasm draws children into learning. It's an invaluable asset for a
Isn't
teacher.
that the strangest looking? Look at those big eyes on the dragonfly.
Attitudes, bias, and fears about nature are learned. Children reflect and often exaggerate the attitudes around them. Being negative about nature can slow or diminish a child's enthusiasm and inquiries.
That feeling of being in the natural world is a very reassuring feeling, more reassuring than you would imagine. And the fears that a lot of people have about it are learned. So the earlier you start, you know, letting kids be aware that this is not something to be afraid of out there, that it's kind of interesting, the better off you are and the more wonderful their lives will be. To me, poisonous animals are much less of a problem, really, than you would imagine, even in areas of the world where they're very common. Most poisonous animals are secretive and aren't out to get you. That's a good message to let kids have. But the other thing about animals that I always tell kids and teachers is that if you're not sure whether something is poisonous or not, you treat it as if it's poisonous, which means leave it alone. Poisonous plants are not abundant, and you can teach kids easily how to identify those plants that have contact poisons, you know, poison ivy, oak, sumac. Those are fairly easy, and kids are great at being good observers. They're better than adults oftentimes in identifying, oh yeah, isn't that poison ivy? Yes, you're absolutely right. I am amazed in my life experience, and I'm very impressed by this, that kids are much better observers than adults. We're too easily moved or sort of fooled by smoke and mirrors. Kids aren't. They see through that. They're the best observers in the world. And the curiosity that we mentioned is already there. That combination, I mean, it's a perfect setup for someone that's trying to give kids a broader view of the world.
Children learn about processes, systems, and cycles by daily investigation of the world as they encounter it. And they learn about themselves through their part in the sequence or cycle.
Nature isn't good, bad, right, or wrong. Nature's simply the way the world is.